By the way, you can skip the longer intro, but it's necessary. Why? Okay. I kinda have to get into this just because I have to. Recently I had a harder time to get through the video without tripping over my own words. And when I trip over my own words, I just lose my flow, and I don't like to use that flow because then I have a hard time getting back into it. And therefore, specifically today, I actually said I'm gonna keep this or make this the casual day video where it's okay to trip over my own words, because the information that you'll get is still the same. But when I lose that flow, it's ruined. But today, I don't really care anymore. I already had like 40 failed attempts, and I'm not gonna redo it over and over again because it makes no sense. So I also noticed the one thing, the reason why I didn't make those casual day videos all that often anymore, because I went like halfway through this video and I noticed that I sounded way too overly cranky and I was a little bit more sarcastic than the device actually deserves. So keep that in mind. Some things that I will complain about are legit, and some I will whine and bitch about where it's just me being stupid. But before we're actually gonna get into this review today, let's get into the one that I recently just did, the Anker Soundcore Liberty Air, priced at around $79 or 99 euros, and I know a little bit of an odd difference. I just want to let you know once again that these, over all of the ones that I have here, are my most preferred ones. And yes, this includes the Xiaomi Airdots Pro, which costs about 87 euros, at least from where I got in tradingsense.com. This doesn't mean that these generally beat these here, because the Xiaomi Airdots Pro actually have a few, maybe for some people actually significant advantages over the Anker, and it maybe comes down to like one or two subjective things why I still give the edge over to the Anker. And in this review I want to let you know still why I can easily recommend these, and maybe in my comparison that is soon coming, I will let you know a lot more in detail about these two. I will keep this a little bit shorter today because it's about these. And this case, which is something that I don't like. And no, this is not being me being sarcastic. This is about me just liking this one so much more. And I mean, it's obvious why. It's just so much more compact. This is still very bulky. And I mean, the earphones are as well, but that is one thing that I would definitely like to have seen improved in the future. Like maybe, for example, also one status LED for the charge. Why only one? Because you have to kind of wait how often it blinks to know how much it is, instead of just giving me like 3 or 4 and then I see it directly. So yeah, that could have been better, but generally otherwise it's fine. We have the pairing button that you will need, because at first I didn't know, because usually you never need the case to pair, but it's okay. Definitely more than okay. USB Type-C. And I've actually in my last video had a few people who, actually it was just one weirdo. Sorry, no offense, but still. He said that once he saw micro USB, the review was over. And then a few people asked, why? I mean, in theory, it could charge faster, but it doesn't. So what does it really matter besides you needing one cable less? I don't get it. Build quality of the case is nice, it's matte and everything works. It stays closed because of the magnets. It stays open. Enough, absolutely, it doesn't really close. It could, if I would want it to, but it doesn't. Now about those earphones, let's take them out. And I'm not gonna go into the cable. Obviously you get a way too short USB-C cable that no one will use, and you get 3 different sizes of ear tips that I'm just quickly gonna mention. But the size here is my little bit of a downside. I mean, here compared to the Anker, you can see how much smaller these are. And I would be actually maybe even fine with the design if they would have been black and if they would have the battery life that I would expect from this size. But this is something that we don't get. I mean, if you want to look like someone who owns AirPods, then this might be for, because I was actually asked already a few times if those are the real ones, and I said, no, these are not. But one thing that I almost forgot to mention is, for example, how easy they are to take out, which is not that easy, because you only get this little bit to grip on. And when I did this once, actually, did it like this, they fell down, and I think actually that my left one is faulty by now. So about the sound part, I will let you know that, because I just have to kind of put that into the whole thing. Otherwise, design is fine. If they just would have been smaller, maybe black. But what we get, for example, here is a microphone, which is for ANC, not just the one that you have at the bottom for calls. And then you get them kind of like skin sensors. So once you put them in, they turn on. And once you take them out, the playback turns off. Which I'm not actually the biggest fan of, because once I sometimes use them and just want to quickly clean my ear or something, take them out, these turn off my playback. I would have liked this to have an optional, but it's not. And what I would have also liked to be not such a monster, because just, I mean, and then the Anker. This is so much more subtle. And I think even changing the color would have been a big difference. But I mean, it is what it is. That's that. The good thing about though those ear tips and everything generally like they work, we have a very good comfort, actually so good because they are so lightweight and due to the shape, how they are in your ear, the comfort is really, really good. I would actually say that these are forgettable. But like I said in my last review, once you get to the point that they are forgettable, usually the secure fit isn't all that much there. So what I've noticed on these here in particular is that they sometimes over time wander out a little bit out of my ear and then I have to push them in. I mean, it's now the track just started. This is the next thing that I'm actually pissed about. It's the controls. I mean, the good thing is that you once press, it doesn't really start immediately because you have to double tap. But I mean, you just saw it. I didn't really plan on activating the playback and it happens. And that's why I'm not a big fan of touch controls. Double tap, play pause. Double tap on the left side. Voice assistant, and I don't know because I usually play a little bit more on my left ear. I don't know how many times I just did it, and now I enabled once again the voice assistant just by trying to put them in and adjust them. That is annoying. Also, for one reason, I didn't manage to skip tracks. I don't know what I should do. I guess I totally missed that because, for example, a long press does is turn off and on A and C, but I have no idea what next track or last track is. So I'm okay with being wrong here, but. Like I said, don't see this too serious. It still is the same touch control like for example, the Anchor have, so I'm not complaining more than I did there. But also, for example, the touch control delay is quite there because if you press, sometimes it just takes a little bit longer until something actually happens. And then you don't know if actually something happened or not. Touch controls are not that good. Give me proper buttons because this actually looks like a button and it's not. There is a little bit of a background noise, a white noise, not really a big issue for me. Then, for example, AAC should be supported by these, but I don't really see it happening because whenever I switch from these that have AAC, it shows me in the developer settings AAC. But once these turn on, it refers down to SBC. I don't really know why. Therefore, due to SBC, there is a little bit of a delay. If AAC makes a difference, I don't know, because the delay is not big enough to be a big issue, but it might be for some who want the least amount of delay. So just about that. Mono mode is though the best one here by far, and I actually don't know what they did to get this right. Maybe they use a different kind of better chip, because in this case you can use either one, put it in, and the other one stays playing, which is usually not the thing. Usually always the right one is the mono one, or you have to kind of repair both separately. In this case you pair them once, the right one, then you can do whatever you want to and they are playing separately. This is something that I like a lot. What I don't like so much is the battery life, because like I said, on the smaller Anchor, 5 batteries, 5 hours of battery life. Here I barely reached 3 hours, and in these 3 hours I already had a few times where it says the battery is going low. That is not good, not for that size. That's actually my biggest issue. If the battery life would have been better, I would have at least at home been fine with the design. But they are very loud, not quite as loud as the Anchor, but they still have a few reserves. And the ANC, to cover that real quick, I mean, it's okay that it's there. I personally wouldn't really use it because it's not really good. It's quite on the weak side, but at least it does some ANCing. Okay, whoa, I'm way too long already into this review, but usually that happens with casual day videos. Okay, let's quickly cover soundstage and imaging. It's pretty nice actually, because it is obviously, compared for the price to the budget ones, a little bit more, and therefore we get a little bit more soundstage, which is nice. But it's a very nice soundstage. Actually, it feels a little bit enhanced, but not in an artificial way. It's maybe not quite as natural as for some other ones out there, but it's a very nice soundstage. Everything feels very cohesive. We have good separation. The voices are a little bit more in the background, so a little bit further away, but still central, frontal. And maybe it's not all that dynamic. That's that. But generally, the soundstage is pretty nice. Imaging could have been better, but I mean, yeah. Sound signature, I like, because maybe not quite as much as on the Anchor, but that's more of a subjective thing, because these here are surprisingly subtly sounded. Because even more so than the Anchor, they have a little bit of boosted bass and a little bit of highs, but not that much actually. These are actually, for a mainstream device, pretty neutral, I would almost like to say. So, pretty pleasant. So I guess this should be very, very good for mainstream for everyone. I mean, if you like overly much bass, if you like a lot of bass, maybe there are better ones out there, but these are very nicely done, and they are actually, due to not being overly harsh in the high end, also very long-term friendly. Now, for what music are they working well? That's something that I'm going to talk later. Now about the bass. The bass. I don't like myself when I'm like this. Okay, let's get to the bass. It's slightly warm. It's a very nice and round bass. It's a little bit more on the dominant side, a little bit, but definitely not too thick. It's also not bleeding into the mids, which is something that I like. The sub bass is okay. It's not quite as emphasized like on the anchor, but it does a way good job. It doesn't really go all that far down, not that strong, but it's there and it's okay. So generally a pretty nice bass. Maybe could be a little bit more punchy, but that's that. About the mids, they are, especially in the vocal range on the higher one, a little bit with a wail kind of there. Because I'm not the biggest fan. I said this already. Sometimes I'm fine with things get harsher a little bit or more dominant in the mid and high end region. This is not what happens here. These are very smooth, therefore more pleasant and maybe more mainstream friendly, but therefore they also sound a little bit more compressed. It's a little bit of some brilliance missing in the vocals. Those feel very smooth, like someone puts like a blanket before some people when they are singing. And it's also a little bit grainy. And here's my issue with the left one. Like I said, it fell down from about waist height, no, actually a little bit higher. And my left one seems defective because now I have a little bit of an odd crunch in the mid-range region, maybe in the lower or higher bass region, and that crunch is making it quite hard to be satisfied by the music. I didn't have this at first, so it must have been a drop, but it's actually sad. These are so lightweight, and just one drop and they are not working anymore. I mean, I didn't really drop any before, so those might still be a thing, but sad, because I will have to try to get them replaced because I generally still like the sound a lot. Now about the highs, we get definitely enough. I mean, for me it could be even more so, but for most people the roll-off will be pretty nice. We don't get any sibilance, which is very important for some people. It's a very smooth, pleasant treble, and like I said, it could be a little bit more brilliant, a little bit more open. But generally, how does it work for music? No, it's time for it. Metal works pretty nice. It's just a round thing. Pop works super nice. Bass works good, but it works better. There are just some that have a more refined, just more mature bass, even at this price range. Ballads and classic work out nice. Especially what I liked is classical music, that because it was, like I said, this nice soundstage, everything felt so opulent. I'm not even sure if this is the right translation, but it felt very majestic. Okay, competition. I have them here once again. The Bluetooth, the Blitzwolf FY2 at around 25 euros. Still my value recommendation. These are definitely better though in pretty much every way. Alpha Wise Mini once again. These ones here. A lot of bass, actually a good bass, but too much and no highs. But for those who want that, you can go for these. Then the normal Airdots. Those are too close in terms of price to make sense. These are a little bit more expensive, but a lot better. And then, like I said, the Soundcore Liberty Air. I'm not going to get too much into that because I will do this in the comparison, but to quickly get it done, and I'm just going to read it off to make it quick. Similar level. The Airdots are slightly round and smoother, and therefore maybe more for everyone, because the anchor had a little bit of a harsh high, maybe with some sibilance that people don't like so much. So generally, the anchor sound a little bit more natural, even though they have more bass. The mids sounded more natural, and that was very natural for podcasts, but these sounded maybe a little bit more pleasant. So comfort. Why did I mention that? This was my Pro. So I'm going to rather it off because I'm pretty sure I'm annoying so many people already by now. So let's quickly read me I'm going to read it, okay? Pros, top comfort, fit, like I said, a little bit loose. Then, a very nice and pleasant, balanced mainstream sound. I like that. ANC is there for all those who want it. We have the pretty much perfect mono mode. This is how it should work on every other headphone. We have USB-C, and we should have AAC, but for some reason it didn't feel like having AAC. Not quite. Yeah. Cons, the design, the case, I don't like. Touch controls, I don't like either. The slightly recessed a little bit with a whale kind of emphasized vocal range is not a big thing for many people. I personally just like brilliant, almost harsh highs, but most people will be fine with this because this is very smooth and pretty nice after all. Unfortunately, no aptX, that's for sure, and no aptX HD. And then the crunch sound on my left one, which is something that I'm not going to include into the pros and cons. So, at a price of around 80 euros, yes, I can recommend them because they are, in terms of sound quality, pretty close to these ones, actually have some advantages over them. They have a very good comfort, the controls are good. I mean, the way the Wonderwood works and generally the whole thing and everything that they offer is pretty nice. I mean, obviously there are alternatives like the Mifo 05, for example, that many people ask me about right now, and those sound super great, but I haven't tried them yet, so I can't say that. All I can tell you is the ones that I've had so far, these are the second best ones. Yeah. The battery life though, why only 3 hours at that size? Makes no sense that the smaller one gives me 5 and this one gives me 3. And this was with ANC turned off, so no worries about that. Well, yeah, no wow. Bye.